Hello, Wild Philosophy here. So I know it's been quite a while, my apologies about that. To get back into the swing of things, I am going to briefly discuss Frances Hodgson Burnett's A Little Princess. Now, most of you are probably aware of the writings of Mrs. Burnett, as she is exceptionally famous for another novel of hers, The Secret Garden. At least I hope you're aware of that one. A Little Princess is undoubted, or probably, I shouldn't say undoubtedly, probably her second most famous work. It is about a young girl whose father places her into a boarding school while he returns to India, the novel being set during the heyday of the British Empire. And then he, and as usual, spoilers, dies horribly while diamond mining in somewhere in South Africa or Zimbabwe. I can't quite remember. It's been a couple months since I read the book, apologies. And bereft of all of his money, the woman in charge of the boarding house makes the young girl a servant. Now, the woman is not very nice. Uh, she intentionally abuses the young girl, defrauds her of food, doesn't give her clothing. It's about as awful treatment as one might expect, or as could be expected or imagined. Now, now, the central focus of Mrs. Burnett's novels is on something called the magic, and I wanted to do, and still want to do, though it's now been months, a longer video discussing this in the context of The Secret Garden, where the idea of the magic is much better developed. Suffice it to say, it can best be described as perhaps a healing life force, a sort of vitalistic energy which, properly channeled, allows one to attain superhuman feats. Mrs. Burnett was a member of the Christian Science movement, a Victorian era New Age religion, which believed that we could channel Jesus energy to heal our wounds. It's where we get the idea of faith healing from, or at least in its modern form. Now, this is the probable origin for the idea of the magic, although I cannot say that with certitude, not being an expert in the life of Mrs. Burnett and in any of her correspondence or other features which might shed some light on the issue. Regardless to say, the magic, is addressed as a almost universal force which enters into people and allows them to achieve impossible feats. Now, Mrs. Burnett deeply connects the idea of the magic, and I want you to picture a capital M when I say magic, with imagination. Both imagination followed by action, but particularly imagination. And so the central theme of A Little Princess is the ability of the main character to endure and persevere past tremendous misfortune and despair, which would cripple most lesser individuals, simply by virtue of, or not by virtue of her immensely strong imagination, which allows her to channel this magic. And the novel is full of small stories and snippets of info, and in spite of the fact that she's often starving, she never loses hope, never despairs, and will invent fantastical stories to help her triumph, as the case may be. As the title implies, the main character, Sarah Crewe, chooses to channel her imagination by conceiving herself as a princess. And so, consequently, even though she is just about at the lowest level of society that it was possible to be in Victorian England. She behaves as if she were a noblewoman, in the best possible sense of that term. Not in the sense of being stuck up, but in the sense of being very cheerful and almost grandiose, and I believe the term is magnanimous? Magnanimous? Somebody will probably be angrily correcting me in the comments, towards other people, even when she can't afford to do so. For instance, when she is, during one day in which she has received no food at all, she finds a coin and uses it to buy some buns, but before she can eat the buns, she notices a poor young girl shivering in the gutter and realizes that the girl needs the buns more than her and gives them to her because it's her duty as a princess to help out those in need. Uh, and this novel's secondary message, both in a sense are a message of living a Christ-like life in accordance with Burnett's ideals, but the novel's secondary message is almost the inner nobility that the individual can possess if only they are willing to try. And I'm thinking that if I can gain the discipline to produce more videos, I might do one on a similar video, George MacDonald's The Princess and the Goblin, another children's novel which must have been written 30 or 40 years before Burnett's, where we see similar themes but about men, being a prince, even though you are a minor in the case of that character. Regardless, I have been Wild Philosophy? Wild have a great day. May honor prevail.